promise I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Famous for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me. But they hate from inside, you see, hate themselves in society. So I let them speak quietly while my actions speak wider. See,
G'day everyone, this is Rangadad. Not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Just going to do a quick one. I know I haven't got to this in a while, but it's been hard to find the time since we've been in Thailand and haven't really had the setup for it. But rocking some new VR goggles and a big widescreen in front of me now, so it makes it a bit easier. Anyway, I've added a link in the description for those that aren't on Discord. There's a link to the Datapedia Discord in there. I do post most of my thoughts in between these videos as well, just for their benefit. But in general, it's a pretty good website if you're interested in sort of passive income through trading bots and copy trading and stuff like that. So shout out to Misha and Git for creating that. All right, so let's start with equal weight S&P 500, just because it's been a while. Realistically, we're getting very close to some of the last major vector candles on this. So about 182 on the RSP is probably as far as I'd expect this to go. I actually expect there to be a rejection off this level. There's not a lot of other levels around, so there is obviously through these highs here, we've already sort of basically gapped up above that, and it looks like confirmation above that. So this could still keep going. You're going to have a lot of people calling, especially on the SPY. You're going to have a lot of people calling new all-time highs, looking at this trend line, which was a massive trend line, which we did retest and reject, so we don't have to go back up to that. If we do get that high, that would be a major rejection point. I don't think that's where we're going. But bullish control zone, lots of shorts coming in, and like you'll see on the skew in a second, the skew's still really low. The skew hasn't gone with this rally at all, so there's still a lot of people shorting options, taking short options and stuff on the market. So this could just keep running until something major breaks, which is kind of what we've been saying for months and months. We haven't seen the break yet, and that's the issue at the moment. Everyone's complaining about tariffs and stuff, but they're not. You're not going to see the effects of them for 3 to 6 months at the most, and it was all news-based plays, which never really last very long. Interesting, we gapped that zone too. That was actually a big zone to gap. A lot of trades volume through there, and we just gapped straight through it. Expect the first part of this move down to actually be a kind of a slow rollover and a grind sideways as well until we just get the free fall. That's kind of what I'm expecting. What I will do, let's go back on the monthly. I just want to go back and have a look at, see how we're tracking against some of the old events. So in particular, this one. Yeah, I mean, this one had effectively, it's that 5 months of sideways and then a spike up and then the drop. I don't think it's going to be similar to this. We've got a very different thing going on, but if you look at the momentum, stochastic momentum, we actually might be pretty, like it might actually look a lot better than what I'm thinking. Yeah, there's still potential to have another bounce here and another sort of sideways and up. Look at that monthly candle though. Wow. That, let's have a look at it on the SPY. That was a mega volume month. That is going to be a target. Pretty sure we're going to blast through that, to be honest, when the big drop happens. But yeah, big vector candle there. Obviously, a lot of buying support off the bottom. So far, May is doing pretty good. So we'll see if the whole sell in May and go away happens or not. Equal weight Qs. Let's go back to the daily. Sorry, I didn't mention it, but I think we're probably tracking closer to the 2000 market dump. I think it'll be worse than that, but I think the structure of this is more similar to that. So even on the equal weights, we've actually recovered most of the vectors so far. So there's one here. Basically, we should get a bit of resistance very soon. We are back above a bit of a trend line there as well, which joins these bottoms here, that bottom there, and we are back above that. So that's a really, a lot of people are going to be looking at this going, okay, we're going straight for this here, and we could be. There's nothing to say that we can't hit 100 on this, really, but this vector candle recovery here should see at least a retrace, but it's going to be right in the middle of this little band here. So at the moment, there isn't anything tradable on this for me, in terms of it's still going up, and you're towards the end of a move, probably. It's just been a lot of up here, so I'd be more looking for the stochastic momentum to get outside the bullish zone and then potentially be shorting. NASDAQ, yeah, same sort of deal. I think that is a reasonable area for things to turn around. And if we do turn around without making a new high, that would be very interesting to me, because it would suggest that that this is I guess, a bear market rally. It's a fairly substantial one, but all the underlying technicals for the actual market itself would suggest that it could be that. So yeah, S&P, yeah, still some vector candle recovery to happen, I think. Yeah. IWM. IWM's lagging quite a bit actually. And that sort of concerns me in that if this was a true rally, the economy's strong, then you'd expect the small caps to be going as well. Now they have gone, what's that, 22%? So they've actually done a similar percentage to the S&P 500, which I think I measured out before. Maybe I measured the RSP. Yeah, I think I measured the RSP. The RSP has done about 22% as well. And this done 23. So they're similar percentage-wise, but the fact that IWM sort of is still lagging way down from its highs, and it's finding resistance at the 200 there, that could be the sort of canary in the coal mine for the market in general. Theoretically, we could form a head and shoulders here too. So at this stage, like there's still that much floating around in the market that we could actually form a head and shoulders here. And even a deep pullback back into this level and then continuation to the upside, that's entirely possible. I am entertaining the idea that we don't actually see the recession until end of this year, maybe early next year. The main reason being everyone's expecting it now. Everyone's looking at this going, whoa, this is bear market rally. We're going to pull back and it's going to go deep. I have a funny feeling, unless something breaks, which there's a lot of stuff out there that's teetering, real estate markets, credit, default swaps, rates, that 30-year yield is up to that 5% mark again. So there's a lot of stuff that's poised for a break, which is kind of why I actually think it might keep going. Not necessarily the Russell, but like the small caps. There could still be a little bit in this for some of the other ones. Yeah, this XLY, XLP. Generally, it started to pull back, which the market hasn't really done the same thing yet. There was vector candle recovery, this big vector here. We haven't really done it on this little one, but there's not much above that either. Like, we don't necessarily have to do that one. But again, if we could just get a little spike above here and then a pullback, which could be the start of a proper bear market. But we just have to wait until something actually breaks. So XLY, XLP could come right back into this level here too. That is a pretty solid level. Good gap close, lots of moving averages. We are pretty overextended to the 13 EMA there. So yeah, probably even a deeper pullback, to be honest. Not necessarily new lows yet, but a deeper pullback for the end of this region here. 2.38, I think, does have some potential. So that's potentially support. XLP versus SPY. So again, this is generally inverse to the actual market. That was an interesting double top there. Hey? We are reaching pretty much the extent of that move too, if that was a double top, which pretty well confirms that it was. Could come down a little bit more than that. The break and the retest is probably around there. So we could come right back into this level here, which would see another couple of days or a week or so of further upside before we actually get a pullback. Interesting bounce though off that level. So that was a fairly major trend line for us to bounce off. That goes way back to basically the bottom of the market, December 22. And it's picked up all major bottoms since. So at this stage, this is showing a potential pullback, but wouldn't use that by itself. And that can lead to, it doesn't necessarily happen after the fact. Equal weight, what do we got? Oh yeah, equal weight XLY, XLP, so discretionary versus staples. It started to pull back as well. Again, probably could have come a little bit higher, and it potentially will. It was a longer term trend line. It's kind of in no man's land, apart from the fact it's come into a reasonably highly traded zone. I guess what I'm saying is I think we're getting close. Close to the top, but there's no real confirmation yet, and we could sit around this level for a while, just chopping around some of these key levels before actually dropping. Could even push a little bit higher just to make everyone think that things are okay. An interesting one, this one in particular, so this is equal weight XLP. Sorry, I keep getting them confused. Equal weight XLP versus SPY. The interesting thing is it's actually retesting this from the underside. So if this continues down, we could come into this level here and pick up this vector candle. So vector candle recovery on this into a sort of a highly traded zone. Could see the top and that move away. So keep an eye out for that. That is sort of a sign that the market rally may not be over yet. There's no real confirmation, but just keep an eye out for that. If we sort of break below this level here, then yeah, probably heading for vector candle recovery. KRE, now the interesting one here is the banks. They've had a pretty major run. Back above their 200 moving average on the daily for regional banks. This vector candle here is probably, you classify that as being recovered, potentially. This one here is the main one. There is a gap just above it as well, so 61.16 for another little leg up would make a bit of sense. Potentially a little bit higher though. So, but XLF, like financials, that's had a massive, seems like a massive move anyway, but still 22%. But it was sort of topping out too previously. So it was going sideways when the market, S&P 500 and stuff, was still going up. So this is going to be a critical zone for financials as well. If financials starts to turn around from here, then the market should follow reasonably soon. Still got a little bit left to recover this vector candle, but yeah, it's, again, if it starts to roll over, and particularly breaking back below the 50 EMA on the daily, then I'd say that that's confirmation that we're going down further. But generally, you wouldn't be shorting this yet. Might have a little entry just at the high here, if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, this is still, ITB's coming back up to a key level. So if ITB actually breaks above this and confirms, I'd love to see it through this line here for a bull market confirmation, particularly like if we did something like this and actually broke back above that, you're going to be breaking above the 200 moving average as well as this big trend line. You know, that would be a good sign, but there is so much resistance here. I think looking at it, you'd be lucky. Whoops. It's the only tool that doesn't get rid of itself. I mean, there are a few vectors up here, but not a lot. Like that one there would probably be the main target. So 115. I'm going to mark that off just because why not? If we're getting there, then it might be 20 years from now, but that was the original plan. We just went a bit deeper on it. But this has been beaten down so hard. This is kind of the main reason I'm still bearish on the overall market. Generally, real estate's doing bad. There's something's about to happen. And we got some bearish divergence here on momentum as well, so just keep that in mind. But a lot of these things are getting close to these key levels, which is why I sort of decided I had to do this video. Again, potentially another little bit up on XHB. XHB's actually got above its key level. How long it stays there, we'll have to wait and see. But if it's coming down as well, then like if it's breaking back below this trend line, then I'd be quite surprised if the market keeps going up anymore. So semis, I did not think it would get back up to this level, to be honest. Obviously the vector candles there, they were a target, and we still do have some up here as a target. We are back within this range that we were in for ages. So potentially, yeah, and it may not be right now, like there's every chance we actually get pullbacks and then we do one last leg up over the next few months. We could just keep going up and just go sideways, chop sideways for a couple of months while we wait for shit to happen. DJI Gold, again, coming into a key resistance level. That was a key breakdown level as well from like way back. It did, I want to see how close I got to my, to this bottom here. Actually, it broke through briefly and reclaimed it with an island reversal. So, yeah, not a bad move up, but I'd be surprised if it gets much past the 200 moving average there, if we even get to that. Because it is a pretty decent rejection level here too on DJI Gold, and gold's actually at a pretty key support. The DJT Gold, it's not really at a level that you'd expect a lot of rejection, apart from the fact there was a little bounce here on the way down. So that's suggesting, and look, it is coiling above the 50 EMA on the daily. So either the 100 or the 200 are going to be interesting levels for that. What's the weekly? Yeah, it's up around the weekly 20 is probably sitting a little bit above that. So, all right, the VIX. So this is interesting. If we join the bottoms here on the VIX, we are pretty close to that at the moment, but looks like Friday we actually got below that. Not a bad spot for the VIX to reverse and go to the upside, which would suggest pullback. But at the same time, it does feel like it's going to get back into this 1511. The skew. So this is one that I was really interested in because the skew, yes, it's run up, but look how high the skew got to on some of those previous pumps. And yeah, it's Sorry, I just want to get. So that's where the skew topped out, I think, last time. Let's just make that bigger. Yeah, the skew topped out at the top last time. And we haven't even been close to that since on this little pump. Even this little move in here on the S&P 500 got more skew movement than what we've had. So it just suggests there's a lot of people shorting at the moment, which suggests to me that, yeah, again, we may actually keep going up just because there's so many people that are trying to short this market. It tends to not work out that well for people when that happens. And the VIX one day is still going up, but it is getting close to a pretty key level here. If it breaks below this trend line, just going to draw that trend line in a bit better, just extend it out. If it breaks below that, then you're going to be getting very close to your top. Like the VIX one day doesn't get much lower than this. About a 7. So as that's coming down, the market's going up, basically. That's the idea behind the VIX. The VIX one day. And the VIX. International markets, the DAX is still charging. Looking not great. Looks like a bit of bearish divergence potentially forming there. Chinese market, again, I'd be wary of this. Could pull back, but this could actually just blast straight through as well. Especially if there is a trade deal announced that's good for China or something. Yeah, UK 100. I mean, that looks like a COVID drop almost, except we've recovered quicker than the COVID drop, and that does concern me quite a bit. That we're just walking on eggshells at the moment, ticking time bomb. Japanese market, again, got it back above this sort of key support level. Yeah, I don't know how long they'll stay there, especially momentum's actually coming back quite hard at the moment. So Japanese market might be a decent short soon. TLT, so this TLT seems to be basing at a level, like we've recovered this gap basically. It's bounced from here twice before. This would be the third time. It looks pretty ripe for a bit of a pump from here. And momentum switching to the upside, it would make a lot of sense. Now, high yield jump has a gap and a vector candle up here. Momentum is still to the upside on HYG. But this vector and this gap, and HYG doesn't necessarily close gaps very quickly or at all, particularly the downside, but you know, that would make a lot of sense. If we did have another couple of days up and then a pullback, that would be, if we're pulling back on high yield from that point, that is probably a good time to be selling. LQDIF, again, 200 moving average there is a pretty decent level. We have basically recovered this vector candle here, but there are some further up as well. So, yeah, it's, again, another couple of days up and then a pullback. Is sort of the way I'm leaning. 2 year, 10 years, yeah. 3 months, 10 year. Uninverted again. So 2 year yields, yeah, not a lot on them, but money's moving out of the US dollar you're getting way better value in the yen and the euro at the moment. Like the daily yields are ridiculous on them. Yeah, 10-year and the 30. So the 30 actually touched. It touched 5%. What was that high? No, within a whisker of 5%, and it's pulled back from there. So last time that happened, we actually had decent pullback. You know, from there to there, particularly from there to there, decent pullback. First time it happened over here, big pullback on the market. Eventually, not straight away, but eventually. So just keep that in mind, not straight away. Chinese bonds, won't worry too much about that. Oh, Dr. Copper is struggling too. So this, again, is kind of suggesting that maybe the economy is not as good as what people are trying to make out. Most of these vectors have been recovered, really. Like, there isn't a lot unrecovered there. So Dr. Copper's pulling back. It's probably not, it's going to be a leading indicator that the stock market will probably pull back. Gold. I'd still like to see gold a little bit deeper. Fill this gap here. There was bugger all trading through this little gap here. Volume is super light there. Pull back at least into this level, but I kind of like gold at least to 3,000, 3,020 for a pullback. You may actually get a bounce and a recovery back above this trend line from there. If not, I would suggest we're probably going to come down a bit lower. Potentially not into this level, but actually move that now. That's going to be an interesting level for me just there. But I think I have a funny feeling that this sort of level is going to be support. So gold coming down, generally Bitcoin up at the moment, the way things are trading. Silver versus gold. Silver looks like it's basing against gold here. Could just be a bear flag though. I think I did buy silver. I can't remember now. I have to go and check. Yeah, oil's kind of lagging as well. So it's in a highly traded zone, decent volume through there at the moment. Pretty low level. Haven't been at this level for quite a while. It's getting some strong rejection off this level too, actually. Previous resistance and support. Yeah, man, oil into 41 would be nuts. But it kind of looks like, unless we get a spike, kind of looks like that's the next move. Probably some support around 50 bucks. 50 bucks and change. If it pulls back from here, that is, but decent rejection off the 50 EMA there. Dixie. Yeah. Rejection off the 50, but see if it holds the 13 EMA on the daily. Global liquidity too, it's still been trudging up, which is kind of what's driving this, or it's supporting this rally anyway. If it rolls over, starts making lower highs, lower lows, then it's probably a bad sign. This is actually hitting key level 2, I think. So interesting reaction off that level there for global liquidity. Yeah, Dixie looks like it's going to pull back further. Should be good for the Aussie dollar. Looks like it's just accumulating at the moment, potentially. Japanese yen, yeah, looking reasonably strong. Euro, decent pullback. This sort of had two legs up. Euro could actually move to, where are we? I'd probably use that as my measured move from here. Yeah, about $1.16 on Euro. Decent level there for resistance. Maybe a little bit higher. Nearly $1.17 on Euro. Could keep going, but probably going to be some resistance between there and $1.19. Obviously, we could break down from here as well. We are reasonably overextended. So yeah, that's about a line, trend line. Yeah, that's sort of the trend I was alluding to before. Looks like we're hitting resistance off that at the moment. Again, a little bit more to pick up the 200 daily. Wouldn't hurt, but doesn't have to. Okay, I'm just going to do the Mag 7. They still have a bit of a couple of vector candles there, and then that's about it. So again, move up, vector candle resistance. If we're pulling back from there, I'd suggest that's going to be the start of a decent pullback, at least into these key moving averages. But the way the economy is looking at, if there's something bigger going on, it could pull back further than that. Yeah, Tesla was coming up to resistance, I think, as well. Yeah, blasted through 330. 360 is probably the next level, to be honest. I suspect 360 or 380 is going to be key resistance for Tesla. There is a gap at 402 as well. And another one up. So around 454. So long way off that, but I suspect somewhere around 380, 360 to 380 is probably going to be decent bounce level. Probably close to 380. Yeah, I won't worry about the rest for now. Generally, it's all pretty similar stuff. SML's looking okay, TSM's looking okay, but again, TSM maybe up to 220 if it's going to keep going, but I don't think this is really driven by fundamentals this run. It seems to be just retail buying the dip. Mainly. I mean, institutions bought the dip pretty hard as well. And just to show that, so the sentiment at the moment, this has been really interesting to watch. So obviously we peaked here right at the bottom. And retail came in hard and heavy, and they've just continued to pile in as smart money's been getting more and more bearish. So, you know, this suggests an excess of 1.1% over the next 2 months. So you're looking at least a potentially 1.1% drop over the next 2 months. I have a funny feeling it's going to be bigger than that, and quicker than that too, actually. Just depends if it's going to want to sit around the top, just sucking in as much liquidity from retail as it can before it actually dumps on them. But yeah, still a bit of smart money in the house. Looks like it's actually turning around to the upside as well. So smart money will come back in if this thing just breaks new all-time highs or something. But at this stage, probably more likely for a bit of a pullback. ASX 200, similar story. All right, into Bitcoin. This was a massive one. So, sorry. BTC longs. There has been a lot of profit taking on BTC longs in the last month, which I think the last video I did was around there. So, a lot of profit taking. These guys are getting ready for the next dip. And they probably will buy the dip, but that's a lot. Typically, that's the start of something bigger and a more continuous sort of sell-off, I guess. But, you know, we'll have to just wait and see for the actual cues. Interesting one for me was Ethereum. I thought it didn't have it in it. Reach one of these key resistances. We are sitting above a bit of a trend line there. Where's this trend line go? Okay, and draw it through there. Just smash through that. Struggling around the value area high as well. Same thing with Bitcoin, which we'll have a look at in a sec. But just interesting that we've had a bit of a pump in alts. And I was watching total versus stable coins, and even while Bitcoin was sort of pulling back a little bit more here, the total versus stable coins was just going sideways. So that was a bit of an indicator that, you know, as we've said before, you don't short a dull market, and yeah, it just kept going. So key resistances on this. So we are above this bull market control line that pointed out previously. Just look at it on the weekly. So generally, every single time that we've broken a key trend line that's held up a bull market, Bitcoin has dropped significantly. And that's been the start of the bear market. And then you can pretty much do that the whole way down from this chart. It's mark the tops and just mark the start of the bear market each time. Now, this one here is of interest because we've never really closed a weekly above that support line. So again, got support all the way along. There's lots of lines in here, but basically, I'll just get rid of the momentum stuff. So yeah, broke below, retested, continued, but then reversed again. And we've now closed back above it, but not just above that, above another trend line that has been pretty well respected in the past. Back above the weekly 50 EMA. And the next resistance, really, there's a little bit of a horizontal level here at 15.86, which we've gotten close to. But I kind of don't think it'd stop there, to be honest. I actually would expect it to come back up into this downward trend line here. So do it on the wicks, but you know, it's a pretty major trend line. If we break above that, even on the daily, things could get crazy. But as I said, this has never actually happened. We've never closed a weekly back above a bull market support line. So that we are in new territory. We've already been talking about this market is different to previous markets, previous bull runs, etc., etc. We've been saying that for months and months now. Basically, ever since we were in this trading zone here, about here, it started trading different to what I've seen it trade on the shorter time frames. So there's, get rid of that. Get rid of this because it just smashed straight through that. And yeah, we're basically in new territory for this particular indicator. But while ever it's above the 200 EMA, the 13 EMA, 50 EMA on the daily, it's still looking bullish. The only thing that I'm thinking here is we've had 3 kind of legs up so far. Generally, you don't necessarily get more than that. Normally, you're getting close if you've had 3 legs up. And we got 1 there. Damn it, grab it. So you could say we got sort of 2 there, which was actually a shorter one as well. It wasn't as big. So you could actually say that's the first part of the recovery. And if you said that, you might actually look at this as, let's do that. So the next leg up, if this is the start of the next leg up, interestingly, could actually bring us into that level. So yeah, there's some interest there. We are bouncing off that trend line too. If we ignore this break below, a little bit of confluence there for a move up into this trend line. So that's of interest to me. Bitcoin itself, obviously, we did not get that reaction off the value area high, and we haven't come back in and retested that. Now, I use 40% from a value area. It's been pretty good in the last 12 months or so, but we haven't retested that. We do have a resistance level right at 106, just a bit over 106, which is the previous daily close all-time high. That should be some resistance, but looking at the way we've traded today and this little region here, I kind of expect us to break that and make an attempt at a new all-time high. There is a caveat on that. I'll just come over to this. Interesting break on the 4-hour too. So we've just broken back above the. Actually, that's a 16-hour Bollinger Band, but I think we've done the same on the 4-hour. Yeah, so the Bollingers we have actually broken above the 4-hour top Bollinger after quite a significant consolidation period and a bit of a squeeze on the 4-hour. So I do kind of expect this to continue, but it's worthwhile keeping in mind that we've just reached the linear regression of the volatility on that of about 3.6 standard deviations. So that's probably pretty significant as well. So pullbacks into 104,300 maybe should be met with bull demand, but generally 3 vectors and you've got to be considering pullbacks. Bit of volume coming through here too, and decent move momentum wise. So this is a good indicator from Lux Algo. They just released this recently. Adaptive momentum oscillator. And yeah, this is just institutional MACD, which I find just useful to have along the other ones that I'm using at the moment. The other one is the CC Enterprises. Don't really have a sell signal on that yet, but I mean, it's pretty overextended now on the 15 minute at least. Pullbacks on the 15 minute. Probably to be expected, to be honest. That's Bitcoin itself. So I haven't calibrated this one yet. But yeah, some decent buy signals on the way up there. All right. So where to next? Well, as I said, I'm kind of expecting this to break 106, but it's just whether there's enough liquidity comes into the charts for it to actually push through that and get up to this level here. So that level's basically previous all-time high levels. I think it actually joins up with the 2019 all-time high as well. So yeah, that's got to be a target somewhere around there. And at the moment, it's sitting about where is it at? About 113,600. So I'd actually expect us to kind of get close to 115 there. There is another trend line here, which is sort of the high, the peak in that 6 months bull flag that we had. But if we're getting to that, you're probably looking at July, August, and you're getting into some pretty decent numbers, sort of 130 and above. I'd be surprised if we get to that. I think the economy's too fragile for that at the moment, but again, if we are going into a major crash, Bitcoin could actually outperform. So yeah, looks like that needs to be put on ice. Interesting little thing that I had there too. So move up into 115. I don't think it's out of the question here. So that's the actual trend line that's joined the bottoms on the way up. So far, it's probably not drawn that well, but somewhere in there. So it looks like a target. It just depends when the market rolls over. I'm still expecting Bitcoin to go with the rest of the market. I don't think it's going to buck the trend. Could be wrong, but doesn't look like that at the moment to me. Litecoin, it's really struggling at the moment. I'd be surprised if Litecoin doesn't at least recover this vector before going down. There's still a lot of bullish sentiment out there for crypto in general as well. Vine, yeah. Mania, yeah. Oh, Pi got a real pump there. Should have been watching that. Could have sold some. Yeah, see, Sol's recovered most of these vectors now. There's not much for Sol to actually recover unless it goes all the way back to this wick, which, I mean, who knows with crypto, maybe that's going to happen, but I actually don't expect Sol to get much higher than 188. If we do, I'd be impressed, but yeah, not expecting it. There is a lot of green across the board, though. It's just most of them are still a long way off all-time highs. I mean, we could get something stupid happen and it just goes, the market goes mental, goes crazy and just squeezes out everyone's shorts. Because everyone thinks they're going to be Michael Burry too at the moment. He comes up so much now in news feeds and stuff like that. Michael Burry's doing this, Michael Burry's doing that. It's just, yeah. All right. Oh, okay. So finally, just looking at IBIT over the last month too, a lot of the biggest trades, like out of the 10 biggest trades in the last month, only one of them's been on a lit exchange, so a normal exchange that we can trade on. The rest of them have all been dark pool. Oh, there might be another one in there. Yeah, there's another lit exchange in there, I think. But yeah, the majority of them are a dark pool. And when there's a lot of dark pool going on at the tops here on IBIT, that makes me think that we might be close to the top as well. Again, these guys could be buying. Some of these could have been buyers, but generally on the way up, they're going to be sells. So there seems to be a lot of selling into retail at the moment. The one thing that's been good to watch lately is the cumulative volume delta. It's been interesting when there's been one going and the other one isn't. It's kind of been an indicator that either way you're going to go in that direction now, particularly to the upside. So what I mean by that, basically this little pump wasn't really supported by spot cumulative volume delta. It actually seemed to be pushed mainly by leveraged investors, so futures trading. And it's happened a little bit in the last month, particularly at the start of the rallies off the bottom. The futures market's actually got a hold of it a little bit quicker than what the spot market's actually got. But this is a pretty decent push up here. Nothing's really pulling back yet. Generally, you want to be looking for divergences. So this one here, there was a red futures candle, but a green regular candle. So suggesting we could get a little bit of a pullback, but at this stage, I don't know, this seems like a decent attempt to actually grab some of this liquidity that's up around 106. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't expect it to go this far and not grab that before it pulls back and never comes back. Well, not for a while. Yeah, there's a fair chunk there, 150 million at 106. It's probably a little bit more than that, to be honest, but even up into the 106.6, 106.8 is a sort of levels that I've seen come up quite a bit. Again, 106.5, and then you sort of jump straight up to 108. There is, if we go out of the 6 months, get a better idea of what there is out there. There's not a lot past 110 at the moment. There's a little bit coming in up to 112, 113, which kind of coincides with that what we were saying for a potential top, but it wouldn't surprise me if we actually turn around before this previous all-time high as well. It's not driven by the same drivers as that previous double top that we had in the last bull run. There was one other thing I was going to point out. So the weekly. So there's actually a weekly Bollinger Band. Let's just do Bollingers. It's been so long since I've changed any of these settings. Bollingers, yeah, okay. Just get back to one. Okay, so we have broken above the 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band on the weekly. Typically when that happens, we've seen continuation. The last time that happened was we went from quite quickly that to basically the all-time high, very close to it, 57% move. Down here we did it as well. Obviously that was a massive move. Down here we did it. We did come back inside just a little bit here, but that was still a pretty decent move off the bottom too. And we were below, like that one there, still an 11% move, but we were below the 50 moving average. Every time I've done it from above the 50 moving average, it's just continuation central. So that to me is kind of suggesting that we could have quite a bit more upside yet. Second standard deviation though is sitting at, what is that? 10. I think it's 109. I thought it was 109. No, 1077. It's an interesting level. Yeah, 1076, 1077. That's kind of 2 standard deviations you typically don't break out of that often. But again, if you do, that's kind of confirmation that you're going to go further. Normally it's on the next candle if you do as well. So we didn't do it there, but we did do it on this one. A little bit of drawdown on that one though. So that's kind of one of the main failures, was sort of coming off that bottom. It's that idea. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at the moment. So 107-ish comes up there as well on the daily Bollinger Band. Where the fuck did I put it? But this is what I was watching actually over the weekend in particular, was the reaction off the top of the single deviation 25 period daily Bollingers. These reactions here off that level, and we never actually got to the 13 EMA, let alone close below it. So whereas we did test it here before moving higher. That was a dirty little fake out though, that little move to the downside. So yeah, kind of expected this struggle here a little bit. Just previous resistance levels. But I do still think we're going to have another couple of days up, at least a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks even. Like, imagine if we had a couple of weeks up and we got as close to the linear regression channel top as what we did in there. You'd be looking at 130. So yeah, just be careful of pullbacks, but at this stage, probably not expecting much of a pullback. To be honest, we've probably had it this week already. Just got to be careful. 1 foot out the door because there is so much resistance coming above us at the moment. And volume hasn't been great on the last part of this run yet. And we've had 6 weeks in a row up, assuming we close this one up in 7 hours. All right. I think that'll do for today. Generally biased to the upside at the moment still. It's not really going to be until we've closed below the 13 that I'm going to not be biased to the upside at this stage. But we do have sort of some momentum and stuff starting to roll, get close to rolling. I think if we're starting to see stochastic momentum close below again from this level, generally once it does it twice, it will actually fold when you're getting up after a big run. So you come down once there, big run up, and then we never really got back above this level here. But, you know, every time's different. Just got to watch these shorter time frames, I think. We are pretty extended, but this could literally just grind up. Could just grind up here, get into that 107 level while these continue up either side of it. Okay, catch you later. Probably not for another week or so.